Bagan, formerly pagan, is an ancient city and a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the Mandalay region of Myanmar. From the 9th to 13th centuries, the city was the capital of the pagan kingdom, the first kingdom that unified the regions that would later constitute Myanmar. During the kingdom's height between the 11th and 13th centuries, more than 10,000 Buddhist temples, pagodas and monasteries were constructed in the Bagan plains alone, of which the remains of over 2,200 temples and pagodas survive. The Bagan Archaeological Zone is a main attraction for the country's nascent tourism industry. Bagan is the present-day standard Burmese pronunciation of the Burmese word Pugan derived from Old Burmese Pukang. Its classical Pali name is Arimaddanpura lit. The city that tramples on enemies. Its other names in Pali are in reference to its extreme dry zone climate, Tattadisa, parched land, and Tampatpa, bronzed country. The Burmese chronicles also report other classical names of Thiri Saya, Pali, Siripakaya, and Tampavaddi Pali, Tampavat. According to the royal chronicles, Bagan was founded in the 2nd century CE and fortified in 849 by King Timbia, 34th successor of the founder of early Bagan. Mainstream scholarship, however, holds that Bagan was founded in the mid-to-late 9th century by the Mranma Burmans, who had recently entered the Irrawaddy Valley from the Nanchao kingdom. It was among several competing Pu city-states until the late 10th century, when the Burman settlement grew in authority and grandeur. From 1044 to 1287, Bagan was the capital as well as the political, economic and cultural nerve center of the Bagan Empire. Over the course of 250 years, Bagan's rulers and their wealthy subjects constructed over 10,000 religious monuments, approximately 1,000 stupas, 10,000 small temples, and 3,000 monasteries in an area of 104 kilometers 40 sq mi in the Bagan plains. The prosperous city grew in size and grandeur and became a cosmopolitan center for religious and secular studies, specializing in Pali scholarship in grammar and philosophical psychological Abhidhamma studies, as well as works in a variety of languages on prosody, phonology, grammar, astrology, alchemy, medicine, and legal studies. The city attracted monks and students from as far as India, Sri Lanka, and the Khmer Empire. The culture of Bagan was dominated by religion. The religion of Bagan was fluid, syncretic, and by later standards, unorthodox. It was largely a continuation of religious trends in the Pu era, where Theravada Buddhism coexisted with Mahayana Buddhism, Tantric Buddhism, various Hindu Savite, and Vaishnava schools, as well as native animist Nat traditions. While the royal patronage of Theravada Buddhism since the mid-11th century had enabled the Buddhist school to gradually gain primacy, other traditions continued to thrive throughout the pagan period to degrees later unseen. Bagan's basic physical layout had already taken shape by the late 11th century, which was the first major period of monument building. A main strip extending for about 9 kilometers along the east bank of the Irrawaddy emerged during this period, with the walled core known as Old Bagan in the middle. 11th century construction took place throughout this whole area and appears to have been relatively decentralized. The spread of monuments north and south of Old Bagan, according to Hudson, Neilwyn, and Win Mang, may reflect construction at the village level, which may have been encouraged by the main elite at Old Bagan. The peak of monument building took place between about 1150 and 1200. Most of Bagan's largest buildings were built during this period. The overall amount of building material used also peaked during this phase. Construction clustered around Old Bagan, but also took place up and down the main strip, and there was also some expansion to the east, away from the Irrawaddy. By the 13th century, the area around Old Bagan was already densely packed with monuments, and new major clusters began to emerge to the east. These new clusters, like the monastic area of Minnantu, were roughly equally distant and equally accessible from any part of the original strip that had been defined in the 11th century. Construction during the 13th century featured a significant increase in the building of monasteries and associated smaller monuments. Michael Ontwin has suggested that the smaller sizes may indicate dwindling economic resources and that the clustering around monasteries may reflect growing monastic influence. Bob Hudson, Neil Wynn, and Win Mang also suggest that there was a broadening of donor activity during this period. The religious merit that accrued from endowing an individual merit was more widely accessible, and more private individuals were endowing small monuments. As with before, this may have taken place at the village level. Both Bagan itself and the surrounding countryside offered plenty of opportunities for employment in various sectors. The prolific temple building alone would have been a huge stimulus for professions involved in their construction, such as brickmaking and masonry, gold, silver, and bronze working, carpentry and wood carving, and ceramics. Finished temples would still need maintenance work done, so they continued to boost demand for both artisans' services and unskilled labor well after their construction. Accountants, bankers, and scribes were also necessary to manage the temple properties. These workers, especially the artisans, were paid well, which attracted many people to move to Bagan. Contemporary inscriptions indicate that people of many linguistic and cultural backgrounds lived and worked in Bagan during this time period. Bagan's ascendancy also coincided with a period of political and economic decline in several other nearby regions, like Dwaravati, Srivijaya, and the Chola Empire. As a result, immigrants from those places likely also ended up moving to Bagan, in addition to people moving there from within Myanmar. The pagan empire collapsed in 1287 due to repeated Mongol invasions 1277-1301. Recent research shows that Mongol armies may not have reached Bagan itself, and that even if they did, the damage they inflicted was probably minimal. According to Michael Ontwin, a more likely explanation is that the provincial governors tasked with defending against Mongol incursions were so successful that they became the new power elite, and their capitals became the new political centers while Bagan itself became a backwater. In any case, something during this period caused Bagan to decline. The city, once home to some 50,000 to 200,000 people, had been reduced to a small town, never to regain its preeminence. The city formally ceased to be the capital of Burma in December 1297 when the Mayan Singh kingdom became the new power in Upper Burma. Bagan survived into the 15th century as a human settlement and as a pilgrimage destination throughout the imperial period. A smaller number of new and impressive religious monuments still went up to the mid-15th century, but afterward, new temple constructions slowed to a trickle with fewer than 200 temples built between the 15th and 20th centuries. The old capital remained a pilgrimage destination, but pilgrimage was focused only on a score or so most prominent temples out of the thousands, such as the Ananda, the Shwezigan, the Sulmani, the Hilominlo, the Dhammayajika, and a few other temples along an ancient road. The rest, thousands of less famous, out-of-the-way temples, fell into disrepair, and most did not survive the test of time. For the few dozen temples that were regularly patronized, the continued patronage meant regular upkeep as well as architectural additions donated by the devotees. Many temples were repainted with new frescoes on top of their original pagan-era ones, or fitted with new Buddha statues. Then came a series of state-sponsored systematic renovations in the Kumbhan period 1750-1885, which by and large were not true to the original designs, some finished with a rude plastered surface, scratched without taste, art or result. The interiors of some temples were also whitewashed, such as the Thatvenu and the Ananda. Many painted inscriptions and even murals were added in this period. Bagan, located in an active earthquake zone, had suffered from many earthquakes over the ages, with over 400 recorded earthquakes between 1904 and 1975. A major earthquake occurred on 8 July 1975, reaching 8 mm in Bagan and Minkaba and 7 mm in Nyangyu. The quake damaged many temples, in many cases, such as the Bupaya, severely and irreparably. Today, 20 to 29 temples and pagodas remain. Many of these damaged pagodas underwent restorations in the 1990s by the military government, which sought to make Bagan an international tourist destination. However, the restoration efforts instead drew widespread condemnation from art historians and preservationists worldwide. Critics were aghast that the restorations paid little attention to original architectural styles and used modern materials, and that the government has also established a golf course, a paved highway, and built a 61 meters 200 feet watchtower. Although the government believed that the ancient capital's hundreds of unrestored temples and large corpus of stone inscriptions were more than sufficient to win the designation of UNESCO World Heritage Site, the city was not so designated until 2019. Allegedly mainly on account of the restorations. On 24 August 2016, a major earthquake hit Bagan and caused major damages in nearly 400 temples. The Sulmani and Myok Guni temples were severely damaged. The Bagan Archaeological Department began a survey and reconstruction effort with the help of the UNESCO. Visitors were prohibited from entering 33 much damaged temples. On 6 July 2019, Bagan was officially inscribed as a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO, 24 years after its first nomination, during the 43rd session of the World Heritage Committee. Bagan became the second World Heritage Site in Myanmar, after the ancient cities of Pew. As part of the criteria for the inscription of Bagan, the government had pledged to relocate existing hotels in the archaeological zone to a dedicated hotel zone by 2020. Bagan today is a main tourist destination in the country's nascent tourism industry. The Bagan Archaeological Zone, defined as the 13 kilometers 8 kilometers 8.1 mi 5.0 mi area centered around Old Bagan, consisting of Nyang Yu in the north and New Bagan in the south, lies in the vast expanse of plains in Upper Burma on the bend of the Irrawaddy River. It is located 290 kilometers 180 mi southwest of Mandalay and 700 kilometers 430 mi north of Yangon. Bagan lies in the middle of the dry zone, the region roughly between Shwebo in the north and Pai in the south. Unlike the coastal regions of the country, which receive annual monsoon rainfalls exceeding 2,500 mm 98 in, the dry zone gets little precipitation as it is sheltered from the rain by the Rakhine Yoma mountain range in the west. Bagan stands out for not only the sheer number of religious edifices of Myanmar but also the magnificent architecture of the buildings and their contribution to Burmese temple design. The artistry of the architecture of pagodas in Bagan proves the achievement of Myanmar craftsmen in handicrafts. The Bagan temple falls into one of two broad categories, the stupa-style solid temple and the gu-style hollow temple. A stupa, also called a pagoda or chedi, is a massive structure, typically with a relic chamber inside. The Bagan stupas or pagodas evolved from earlier Pew designs, which in turn were based on the stupa designs of the Andhra region, particularly Amravati and Nagarjunakonda in present-day southeastern India, and to a smaller extent to Ceylon. The Baganara stupas in turn were the prototypes for later Burmese stupas in terms of symbolism, form and design, building techniques and even materials. Originally, a Ceylonese stupa had a hemispheric body pali, anda, the egg, on which a rectangular box surrounded by a stone balustrade harmika was set. Extending up from the top of the stupa was a shaft supporting several ceremonial umbrellas. The stupa Buddhist cosmos, its shape symbolize Mount Meru while the umbrella mounted on the brickwork represents the world's axis. The brickwork pediment was often covered in stucco and decorated in relief. Pairs or series of ogres as guardian figures below were a favorite theme in the Bagan period. The original Indic design was gradually modified first by the Pew and then by Burmans at Bagan where the stupa gradually developed a longer, cylindrical form. The earliest Bagan stupas, such as the Bupaya c. 9th century, were the direct descendants of the Pew style at Sri Kshetra. By the 11th century, the stupa had developed into a more bell-shaped form in which the parasols morphed into a series of increasingly smaller rings placed on one top of the other, rising to a point. On top the rings, the new design replaced the harmika with a lotus bud. The lotus bud design then evolved into the banana bud, which forms the extended apex of most Burmese pagodas. 3 or 4 rectangular terraces served as the base for a pagoda, often with a gallery of terracotta tiles depicting Buddhist Jataka stories. The Shwezidan Pagoda and the Shwesandav Pagoda are the earliest examples of this type. Examples of the trend toward a more bell-shaped design gradually gained primacy as seen in the Dhammayajika Pagoda late 12th century and the Mingalajadi Pagoda late 13th century. In contrast to the stupas, the hollow Gustile temple is a structure used for meditation, devotional worship of the Buddha and other Buddhist rituals. The Gu temples come into basic styles, one-phase design and four-phase design, essentially one main entrance and four main entrances. Other styles such as five-phase and hybrids also exist. The one-phase style grew out of 2nd century Bekthano and the four-phase out of 7th century Shri Kshetra. The temples, whose main features were the pointed arches and the vaulted chamber, became larger and grander in the Bagan period. Although the Burmese temple designs evolved from Indic, Pew and possibly Moss styles, the techniques of vaulting seem to have developed in Bagan itself.